We have a very, very, very big show for you guys tonight. Before we get started, I want to welcome everybody to HBCU Coaches Corner. I'm Rocky, your host, along with my co-host, Mr. Campbell. Our featured host is on the way. He's going to be a little later. But you guys could be anywhere in the world right now, and you decided to log on with HBCU Coaches Corner, and we absolutely, positively appreciate you being here with us tonight. You know, as we do, before we get started, I got to ask my co-host, Detective Campbell, how you doing?
You know, Rocky, I'm doing great. You know, we're gonna let a couple of people get in because something important has happened in the HBCU world. Famous HBCU alumni. You know, when you see I had to change, I went from like I said, I got many jobs, and people know the bishop, also as an educator, sell hair. But one of my main jobs is making sure these HBCU streets are safe, Rocky. So now I had to put my detective hat on. So, in a few minutes, you're going to let a couple people get on in here. You know what I'm saying? We still got things coming in. We're getting phone calls, lining up witnesses and things. But this is such a we're going to touch on before Coach get on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah. I want to mention there's a lot of things happening in these HBCU streets. And one thing I don't want to gloss over it, but FAMU is in business.
How about that? We talk a little bit about that.
Not only did y'all just hire a coach a couple of days ago, Coach, y'all got season tickets of basketball already on sale. Basketball just in.
Come on, man. You heard my AD. My AD said she took them long bus rides. Said she had to see it for herself on the ground. Said she only 5'5". She said, hey, I know guys that are 6 foot, they can't be comfortable. So we need y'all also to raise money. Where that starts is season tickets on sale right now. Come on, AD19. Come on, AD19. So that's what we got to do. You heard the Heisman Trophy winner.
She not selling fish plates.
We ain't doing no fish plates.
She not selling raffle tickets. None of that. She said y'all can fix this right here.
We
buying your season tickets for next season.
We out here balancing budgets, man. We out here balancing budgets.
Because the money that y'all get this year is counted for what? This year, right?
Yeah. So, hey, man, every dime counts, man.
I really, really enjoyed the press conference. It was a top-notch, orchestrated, precise production going on. Y'all got some real media people over there at FAMU because they put it on a top-notch production, man. And I'm not just saying that because you on here tonight. I'm saying that because I watched Norfolk State. Mm-hmm. I watched some others, and in keeping with Alabama A&M's production of the introduction of Sam Shade, you guys did equally and certainly just as adequate job as they did in introducing their football coach. You guys did a great job introducing Charlie Ward, and I also really enjoyed his introductory speech. And I always like to learn something. And in that speech, I learned that Charlie Ward, though he got his Heisman by playing at Florida State, he's truly a rattler.
Hey, man, listen. Y'all see, folks don't know how them ties run deep. You see what I'm saying? And how that connection is already there, man. And what is great about that is that I always want the best candidate to be hired, right? I never have a problem with that. If there's a guy, but there's also something to say that you do know where you're going to. You know what I mean? And the coach say, you know where the bathroom is at. You know where the locker room is at. And the one thing about it is when you're a coach, and Charlie said he grew up on the campus. His parents, father played for Jake Gaither. He understands the sports legacy of Florida A&M. His sister went there, So he understands. He lives in Tallahassee. He has relationships with FAMU Rattlers. So he understands what athletics for FAMU means. So that's the thing about it. So he's not coming up there not knowing the Rattler strike, not understanding what it means, and he's home. So that's another thing too. Like he said, hey man, I'm here. This is where I want to be at. So again, I'm not worrying about if he gets a 21 season and he out the door. So hey man, listen, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. So I'm super excited.
And he was born on FAMU campus.
Born on the campus. Foothill building, what used to be a hospital.
I don't think you could be more of a rattler than that. No,
you can't. And it was so funny is several rattlers, Tallahassee rattlers, that have that. Like I say, our AD, she was born in that hospital. You got see, man. Let me tell you something about black folk back in that day, man. See, you go to black house because you got to make sure everything gonna be all right. That's the thing about it. You go to White House, but you come out there with your foot missing. You know what I'm saying? So you go there with them black doctors and black nurses. You trust it. You know everybody up there, and you come out. So like I said, man, that's what's so great about. But that also talks about the thing that they've taken from us that we had. We had a hospital. Think about that. We had a hospital. Now we don't. Those are things that, again, when you look at it, because of the time, we had a law school that was in Tallahassee. We had a hospital because we had to be self-sufficient. So we trained doctors and dentists and lawyers and teachers and engineers all right there on that campus, man. So, that's kind of important, man. So, I'm super excited. Again, we don't know what Coach Ward's going to do. Like I say, he got a high heel to climb. But what I do like is everybody's rolling in the same direction, and he wants to be there. That's the biggest thing.
As I've been in the HBCU space the last 5 years, Mr. Campbell, that rowing in the same direction has actually been the most surprising aspect of being in this space, to see how rarely in this space all alumni, faculty, staff, fans, and supporters are all rowing in the same direction. That's rare.
Yeah, no, it is. It is, because you got a lot of people that think they can do it better. You got a lot of people that want something that's different. But one of the things, and this is why you see some of the best ADs, like I said, you see Paul Bryant, he's got Alabama, and them rolling in the right direction. You got Ashley up there at Jackson State. He got them rolling in the right direction. We brought AD Suggs in. You got the whole FAMU collective. And again, like I said, there are other, ADs, but I'm talking about these are the ones that you saw. Hey, AD Golf, look at what he's doing down at Prairie View. You know what I mean? He got those folks rolling in the right direction, man. So it just shows you how important at the top having an AD setting a mindset, a vision. Because that's what Charlie said. He said, man, it's the vision that AD Suggs had that sold me. That's the thing about it. That's the great thing that you got to think about. And see, this is what I like about Charlie. See, the thing, Rocky, see, for a lot of young people, they don't know how great Charlie was. Listen. So I'm just going to let y'all know. So again, when you see people like Lamar Jackson and Michael Vick, Charlie Ward was that guy before that. Okay?
Hey, climbing a much steeper hill.
Much steeper hill.
Like Charlie is I suggest all of you guys to go back and watch his documentary. There's a documentary on Charlie Ward and his time at Florida State. And it's a very eye-opening documentary about what he went through trying his attempt to be a Division I quarterback and also a Division I point guard on a NCAA championship team, NCAA team in the same conference with Duke
and Carolina.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And Georgia Tech with Ken Anderson number. Okay.
Yes.
Listen.
Yes.
We're talking about hard hitters.
Absolutely. Not only, and so what I'm saying is, not only did he win the national championship as a quarterback and the Heisman Trophy, which Coach, I can't remember anybody. I'm sure someone else has done it other than Gino Torretta and Charlie Ward. I just can't think of nobody else that done it.
When did what?
Won the national championship and the Heisman Trophy.
No. A couple of Alabama guys have. Mark Ingram.
Okay. I was talking about quarterbacks, but
yeah, okay, quarterbacks. Okay, yeah, quarterback. Now, let's see. Now you said something there. As they said, running down Because the Alabama, because Bryce didn't win it. And I'm trying to think. Joe Burrow.
Absolutely.
Joe
Burrow. So absolutely. So that's it doesn't.
And Carl just said Jameis Winston. Yep.
Okay, I know it's coming out. Again, it's a very rare feat. It hadn't happened probably more than 5 times in the history of college football, and so it was a tremendous accomplishment. Oh yeah, Cam Newton, of course. All right, like I say.
Okay, wait, but let me say something. Okay, so this is the thing. So to my man, a person, woman, could be Three's company. No, we're not true. This is interaction. This is what he was really asking a question. He was just saying right on top of it. So we appreciate that y'all know what y'all talking about. See, this is the great thing about it. We got competent. So I'm actually going to give you credit because, again, we're just talking off the top of our dome. So that's what it is. So, yeah, when you start looking and thinking like that, so, yeah, you're right. So that's the great thing about it. So I appreciate that y'all bring it up today. Because you know what is interesting when you start saying that? Because one of the things that I was looking up that you said that I was wondering, and this is another thing too, that what was his name? Three's company. I was trying to think of how many black quarterbacks that won a national championship and the Heisman. And I was thinking about Charlie and Cam, and I was trying to think, is there anybody else that was in that rarefied air? You know what I mean? Now think about that in that rarefied air. To your point, that's black. So yeah, so look at it.
Man, when you think about again, we're only talking about football here, and then we're talking about a guy who was a starting point guard on an Elite 8 team, if I'm not mistaken, 1 year, and a Sweet 16 team.
And then Elite 8, yep.
Yeah, so we're not talking about just anybody when we talk about Charlie Ward. He's truly athletic royalty. To be perfectly honest with you, I think he was, and you could probably put context on this as well. During that time when he won the Heisman, there was truly a question that whether or not black quarterbacks could play quarterback and be successful in the NFL.
Well, that's the reason why Charles, okay, let's keep it a buck. That's why Charles said, I'm not about to play this game with y'all. I have the skills to be a quarterback. And it was like, oh, we don't know if you're going to get drafted. He said, well, I'm not going to waste my time. Don't even draft me. Don't even draft me because I can go first round in the NBA. So absolutely, when you talk about that. So, when you start thinking about it, and I'll tell you something funny. This is for my Tallahassee people that were there. So when you came to Tallahassee, there, again, Florida State and FAMU have a interesting song and dance that they do each other. You kind of, FAMU people, FSU people, whatever. And I'll just say this, and this is just my class. I had a lot of friends from Miami, okay? My crew was Miami people. And I was already a University of Miami fan. So when the University of Miami came to Tallahassee and beat Florida State, we were happy. I'm telling you without blinking. But I'm telling you, when Charlie Ward was the quarterback at Florida State, everybody from FAMU was rooting for Charlie Ward because of what he had to go through. Because people, like I tell people wanted Danny Cannell to be the starter as a freshman. Okay? And Charlie had worked his way up to be that starter, that quarterback. And, man, it was a lot of stuff that was said about Charlie behind his back. But he always did. Charlie Ward is class personified. And he has always been. He never let any negativity get on top of him. He was always class personified. He knew, man, because, his first year, I think Charlie threw about 15 to 16 interceptions. Oh, he was just, that was it. Now, he was wild with the ball. You know what I mean? Those buzzwords and things like that. And everything. And then he comes back the next year and he wins the national championship. But he never, ever spoke out in negativity against the fan base. He always kept his head down, and that's the thing about it. So that was great about Charlie Ward. So, man, listen, when Charlie and them boys, had that fast break, Derek Brooks and all them boys and William Floyd, man, and when I said them boys was stacked, man, them boys was stacked. You know what I'm saying? And they was you knew these guys, and they was good brothers. You know what I'm saying? They was brothers. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. You see them out and stuff like that. So, a lot of those guys came and played in the NFL. They were in Atlanta. You see them. So, man, no. So, Charlie Ward is always for FAMU. And because of his parents, he was always a FAMU fan favorite, 100%.
And I'll say this. Charlie Ward was one of those guys. In the moment, I didn't realize it, but in retrospect, I understand it. If the NFL didn't want to give Charlie a chance at playing quarterback, they didn't want to give anybody a chance at playing quarterback. You understand? Now, luckily, due to the transcendent nature of a guy who came from an HBCU that came on, I want to say maybe a year after Charlie Ward, which is he came on the scene and took it by storm, which is one Air Steve McNair. And that was it almost was coming too fast for the league at that point because you had Charlie Ward in 93, then you have Steve in 94, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
94. So it was just coming too fast at him. And I'm glad that they decided to take a chance on not a chance, but they decided to give him what he truly deserved, which is an opportunity to play football in the NFL, and he took it and ran with it. And I think he was true. And this is just, I give Steve McNair the credit. He was the first black quarterback without the traditional pedigree to make it in the NFL. You know what I mean? What I mean by not the traditional pedigree, he wasn't coached by some white dude.
Right. Well, you gotta understand, it was so many great black quarterbacks. And listen, hey man, this is 2025. Lamar Jackson just got drafted a few years ago, and they were still talking about moving him to wide receiver. Okay? So let's not act like everything is kumbaya, and they're like, oh, we still love black quarterbacks. They still, and why did Lamar, and this is what's so crazy when you think about Lamar Jackson and who he was and how dominant he was, and that man still barely got drafted in the first round. Think about that. And they were talking about, well, maybe he can't play quarterback. Maybe he can't process well. He runs too fast. That's the reason why he didn't run the 40 at the combine. Because he knew if he was going to mess around and run that 4.3 that he knew he was going to run, you know what? Yeah, well, I think he would be more exciting as a wide receiver. He had to. See, this is the thing. I'm about to go off on a tangent. We as black people have to dumb ourselves down just to make other people feel comfortable. He could not show his athletic ability because it would intimidate people so much that they will say, no, he can't play quarterback. That is crazy.
And I would say nowadays, I think Charlie Ward, this is the great contradiction in sports and in football in particular. Charlie Ward would be deemed a pocket passer, wouldn't you say? If he was.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He was elusive and electric, but he wasn't running around like Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson. But see, that's what people say. Charlie played the game at quarterback like a point guard. That's what they call the offense at Florida State, the fast break offense, because Charlie saw everything and he made the right plays. He knew who to hit. He knew when to run, when not to run. Charlie, if he wanted to, but this is what I'm talking about, the level of intelligence. See, this is what I'm saying. Give this man the level to. Charlie could have ran for 1,000 yards in that offense if he wanted to. But they wanted him to say, hey, listen, when it's taken, when you can take it. But he could have just often took off. But he had so many skilled playmakers around him. And think about being a point guard, you got to see the play ahead.
I think Charlie wanted to win with his mind.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. I think if you watch the documentary, you'll see that Charlie Ward wanted to meet and some of the struggles some of his perceived struggles that had his first year was because he was reluctant to take off and play the game in an undisciplined manner. He chose to try to win the game with his head in his arm. And again, man, Charlie, and I'll say this. I had the pleasure of meeting Charlie Ward, spending some time with him and his wife when he was, I guess he may have been in the NBA maybe 5 years when they went to the championship and played against the Spurs. Whatever I say about him as a football player, a basketball player, or even a coach, when I tell you about the person that he is, the man that he is, because I've followed him his entire life from that standpoint as well, he's just a sensational person. Like, right. If they were giving a Heisman out for just being a great man, a great father, a great husband, a great man in the community, he win that every year.
Right.
Because he's just that good of a person. And I'm not blowing smoke up your butt or anything like that. He's just that good of a guy. And like I say, to sit across from dinner at him so many years ago, probably going on 25 years ago, and just see how humble him and his family was, to see how just a regular dude he was. Like, you wouldn't even know he ever won anything if you just sit and talk to him, because he just is such a humble, kind, mannerable person.
But so, you know what's so amazing about that, Rocky? And again, being around, like I say, in his orbit, not, personally, just like he's not my boy, but everybody that knows him have said that for 30 plus years. So the beautiful thing is, when that is who you are as a person, there's no falsehoods, there's no fake thing. He is who he is. And I'm saying that clearly as a compliment. That's a big deal right there, man.
Absolutely.
All right, now hold on, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. No, we never. Wait a minute now.
Hey, this the wrong show, ain't it?
This. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, y'all. Wait a minute. I'm going to put y'all on hold now. Hold on now. You want me to talk about what? Now wait a minute. Now, Rocky. Now that was the phone in the back. Now, many people know that we have an off-script crime unit. Because there are things that happen in HBCU space. As Detective Campbell, I'm here to make sure that laws are watched and regulated. Now, I just got a phone. Now, this is a phone call that kind of hurt me, that, Rocky. Now, you know what?
Had they been stealing?
Detective Campbell.
Had they been stealing?
Listen, now, we got some folks that be stealing now. Thank God. Luckily, we listen, I'm going to say this real quick. We ain't got no bad checks, and ain't nobody stole nothing. So we feeling pretty good. We done made it through the whole year without no bad checks, and they stealing nothing. But I'm just going to say something, Rocky. Now, here's the thing. In the criminal justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police, who investigate the crimes, and district attorneys. But sexually based offenses are considered especially heinous. In the off-script world, dedicated detectives, myself, investigate these vicious felonies and are a member of the elite squad known as the Spectre Victims Unit. Hit it for me. Now, Rocky, I am troubled to say that we got a crime report that an HBCU alum, Shannon Sharp, Unc, Shay, has gotten caught up in a potential.
Say it ain't so.
Listen. Hey, listen. I'm nervous about this now. I'm nervous about this because there is a report that there's two crimes that's going on. Okay, potential. Now, the one said that Uncle Unc, Shannon Sharp, HBCU Hall of Famer, football Hall of Famer, Savannah State, that he done did something wrong with some white girl.
Lord have mercy.
Now, that, this usually ain't my jurisdiction. But when it was an HBCU guy, they had to call me because, he needed to see, man, listen, we in this Trump world, he called us to make sure we investigate the crime because he wants a fair and balanced. Now, the other crime is, because we got connections through back channels, that alleged white girl is trying to shake him down for $50 million. $50 million. That's a lot of money. And we've been told through our investigation that Unc offered her $10 million.
Lord have mercy.
$10 million. So now I'm just saying, this is a lot of investigation. So we got a lot of things going on. But Rock, I'm just going to say this. What in the hell she got on Unc that he offered her $10 million, she would take it down? We got to talk about this.
I have no idea. I did come across a video of him talking about him being someone shaking him down, and that there is a 30-second video of him, but it's not what it seems. Now, see, I don't know what he's talking about. It's not what it seems. Mm-hmm. But he said it should be about 10 minutes long. That's what he said. I don't know what he mean by that. He say it's 30 seconds, but it should be 10 minutes. And
10 minutes.
Yeah, that's Mr. Campbell, he's 56 years old. He's around my age. And so he's 56 years old. So 10 minutes pretty good if it lasts that long.
Hey, listen. Now listen. Now I don't know how many of y'all watch Unc and Ocho on that nightcap. Now Unc got a sponsor called Rose Sparks. Now see, now Rocky, you're married, so you good. But see, as a singer, but see, I don't need that rope. But people like Shannon might need that rope. They said that rope had you going for a long time now. He told Ocho he go 20 minutes deep. So I don't know if that rope got him going crazy, losing his mind. Not Rocky. Now listen, this is a family show. Okay. We're not going to go too deep, but there's some things that was concerning. Now there were some text messages that was sent back and forth. Now, one of the things that concerned me in the text message is that, and I'm just going to say, we might have to pull a picture up because we might have to pull a picture of this white girl.
Let me see, can I get her up here?
No, okay, because do I need to send you a link?
I think, hold on, let me see.
Because while you pulling that up, and again, we lied, we're doing an investigation. She said each cheek was worth $25,000.
Lord have mercy.
Each cheek. Man, that's 50 grand. Man,
oh man.
Each cheek? What are we doing?
She asked for that off the rip.
She said, hey, that's what she told him. Each cheek is worth 25. 25. Now this ain't young. Now listen, Young Miami, she might be worth 25. You know what I'm saying? Who else he had on there? He had a couple of people, Megan Thee Stallion. But this white girl here, 25. And then, now, Rocky, this is what concerned me. And I got, hey, listen, man. You listen. Not to say that your arm don't, get a little bit loose. You know what I'm saying? But that's a private business. So I ain't got no problem you want to get loose, but you get you loosened with. But when you out here talking about that you want to put a big black baby in me with your blank, 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 and that you want to suck something all day long, so you can have a big black baby, and I want to put your tongue XYZ. Now, see, come on, man. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah. I'm gonna share this picture with the peoples. I'm gonna share it with the peoples. Now this is
we got surveillance tape all over the place now.
Now this is it. This is straight off the detective's Facebook page, and this is what 10 million don't look like.
That don't look like $10. That don't look like $10. Come on, man. What are we doing? And the reason why we're only, and I'm gonna say this, the reason why I want to talk about this on a serious note. We as black men, black athletes, professional people, you got to be careful. Whatever you do. Now, the thing about it is what's concerning me. There was a report that Shannon might get $100,000, $100 million potentially in a new deal for all his podcasts. And this is what he wants to bring him down. See, that concerns me.
The HBCU alumni.
HBC, come on, man. So, so that's what again, we see, we usually don't talk about this and things like this, and we are making a little bit light of it. But I'm saying this to a lot of younger people. Decisions that you make can come back to haunt you. The people that you are around can come back to haunt you. So always be around quality people. Always be around people that have your best interest. And I'm going to say this for all them old fools. Leave them young girls alone. Leave them young girls alone. Because listen, I ain't no bad looking dude. Now, I had some young girl, but see, listen, them young girl going to put you on blast. If you don't do them right, they ain't got no problem putting you on blast.
I was on campus with you and in Atlanta. And one thing that you was clear about, being a single man living in Atlanta, you said, I only date grown women.
Period. Grown women. Because they got just as much to lose as I do. And the woman I date is grown. And we don't nobody know who she is. And that's why we keep it like that. She happy and I'm happy. But them young girl go tell, like you know the young girl getting that Escalade, she go tell.
She got to take a picture in it.
All up, you know what I'm saying? Talking about I'm riding on 22, talking about where we going to eat.
She gonna take a picture of you and her hand on that peanut butter.
Listen, come on, man. I already know that. Listen, man, I got
we call it back in East Waco, Texas. We got a term for it. Say, she gonna dry snitch.
Oh, easy. But she ain't dry snitching. She wet snitching for
oh yeah.
Well, trying to get 50 million.
Now, this is what bothers me about the whole deal. And I'll say this, Mr. Campbell, is that this is a wildly successful black man at the top of his field, right?
Right.
At the top of his field. And he's playing with potentially going to be taken down by poor judgment and poor decisions. And it has to do with a white woman. That's a story that's as old as I am, Mr. Campbell. When are we gonna? And I'm not suggesting that there's something wrong with white women for that matter. I'm just suggesting how many times are these successful men gonna fall for these same antics over and over and over again? And in my 54 years of living, it's happened to dozens, probably hundreds of very successful black men where they've lost their freedom, they lost their reputation, all over an entanglement with white women.
Period.
I just don't get it.
And see, and the dangerous thing that would concern me, this is the same thing what happened to Puffy. I didn't do anything. All these are lies. All that. He should pay that girl off. Should pay cash that money and gone. And then, because see, once these folks start digging and keep digging and keep digging, that's when you find out they find something else. See, that's what I'm concerned about. And like you say, when you're at that level, and one thing, I'm going to tell you something. A lot of people don't like Stephen A. Smith, but one thing I admire about Stephen, you don't never hear his business. Ever. And Stephen A. Smith got a grown woman girlfriend. Them few pictures that you see, that's a grown woman that he with. You don't never hear nothing about Stephen A. Smith. Same thing. You know who I got tremendous respect for? LeBron James. LeBron been in the game, not just in the NBA, but from high school. I heard no about LeBron foolishness. Now, I'm not saying he has or has not, but the point of it is he has enough respect to understand he is a brand. And he embraces
the notion that he is a role model and he should be a exemplary citizen in society and give men in the NBA and men as a whole something to strive for. Like, not many guys, and I say not many, but there are very few guys who embrace being a role model and who are willing to put their, I ain't gonna say private life, but their lives up to scrutiny. And LeBron James welcomes that. You know what I mean? Yeah. He welcomes the fact that he puts his life to scrutiny, and to the point to where people have to almost create foolishness around LeBron and his family for it to be even talked about. We had a fool last week say something about Savannah doesn't look at him with a certain honor, like she doesn't look at him like he's the god he is or whatever. And I don't even know why that conversation even gets traction in our community.
And I want to say Kevin Gates, a rapper who ain't been faithful to nothing, and he gonna speak on another man's. And then he said,
and his family. He's speaking on his wife,
right? And talk about where the white women look at him. Man. See, this goes back to a level of intelligence that there is none on certain levels, and that because we have this thing right here that anybody can get on anytime and say something stupid. And again, like you say, the fact that you would disrespect this, disrespectful. Who are you to say how she look at him? I know she look at him good enough for them to have all them kids and be married 20 years. That's a look. That's a good look. I like that look. I like black love that looks like that. 2 young men that he's raised, that are good young men, a daughter, a wife. How about that? That's the look I want for anybody black, anybody white, anybody period. So come on, man. So that's just crazy. So yeah, man, we just wanted to touch on this a little bit, and everything. We'll get into, what we were going to talk about. But, it's in the lexicon. You know what I mean? People are talking about it. Shannon Sharpe, like I say, because you got to understand something. Shannon Sharpe is an HBCU alumnus. I'm very proud of because you got to think about him and Stephen A. are 2 HBCU alums.
Probably the 2 biggest guys in sports media right now.
Think about that. One guy already got a $100 million contract. And let's be clear. See, this is one of the things, and this is no disrespect, but this is what I'm talking about, how great our HBCU. Stephen A. went to Winston-Salem State, okay? Not a huge HBCU, a very great school, but it's not Howard. It ain't FAMU, it ain't Jackson. I'm talking about as far as size, okay? Not talking about education, because all HBCU education is amazing. But I'm talking about the size. Shannon went to Savannah State, okay? And to think, so nobody can ever tell you, no matter where you go, that you can't go get $100 million from HBCU. Can't nobody tell you that lie? Because we got 2 men that are not, and I'm not talking about all the amazing women that have graduated, that are doing it. Oh, I'm sorry. There's a person that got more money than them. Oprah Winfrey, Tennessee State, that's a billionaire. So that's what I'm saying. So when we see this, man, we are trying. Literally, you don't think Shannon had somebody, one of his coaches, say, hey, man, watch what you're doing out there in them streets? Deion says it all the time. I admire Deion for that. Deion has a quote, I'm paraphrasing. Hey, don't let what you do tonight rule what happened tomorrow, basically. And I'm paraphrasing. But you heard him say that. Don't go out there in them streets and cause a problem. So, man, I just think that, I hope it works out. I hope they can resolve it and he can move on and because like I said, he's hiring black people. $100 million, hey man, $100 million is $100 million, man. That's crazy. And if he messes around, because folks is gunning for you. Because I can just see the white guy, he's negotiating. Well, Shannon, we'll still work with you, but I got these things that you keep bringing up. You know what I mean? So we're gonna put this clause in your contract that Pat McAfee don't have. That if something like this even kind of happens, we'll cut you off. See, that's what they do, bro. That's what they do to you. So come on, man. So no, we ain't doing it. So
I'm gonna send this. This link out to Zoe and Zach Blue in the event they want to join in on this next topic.
We do need you to come up because that was one. Because matter of fact, that goes into our next topic. So Blue, yeah, do come up. Because that's one of the things. Now, I'll set this up. So we offer Shannon and everything like this. Here was one of the things that was interesting I saw. And there was a player who went to Florida A&M. And like I said, have no problem. And this is a bigger thing. He's a player. He's moving on. He's going to Auburn. Okay? He's going to Auburn. Now, as we all know, revenue share starts next season. Okay? So I know the University of Georgia, for their revenue share, on average, is paying their football players $175,000, right? So you would assume that Auburn is probably in that area. Would you not agree, Rocky? Probably going to be somewhere in that area?
Yeah. That makes universal.
So the question I want to pose to people in the chat, if you had a child and your child is playing, and because I'm going to phrase it like this, is an all-conference level player, because this is what usually happens. That's why I want Blue to come up, because he had the numbers about kids not playing. Would you want your child to actually play football, be an all-conference player in the SWAC, or go sit on the bench or any Power 5 school, but get a check for $150,000? So, Rocky, I'm going to ask you, as somebody, you're a parent, but see, because this is very important, that he has played at a high level, but he's not going to play. It is already known he's not going to play. What would you tell your son?
I would tell my son, go have the best college experience he has. And I think that involves playing and making all conference or being given the chance to be a player. one of the things I always that is something that we'll interrogate and break down and find out as this NIL era goes forward. Playing time is ultimately going to be the deciding factor of whether a kid is happy or whether a kid truly enjoys his collegiate experience as an athlete. Because if you don't play, are you really getting the full essence of a collegiate experience? Like that's what it's really about. And you know, you've been a sports fan for as long as I have. And it is sad when you see great players come from your neighborhood, maybe your city, maybe your region, and they go off and they go to Texas or Ole Miss or Mississippi State or wherever, and they don't get a chance to showcase their talent for one reason or another. That's a sad circumstance or situation. And some of those guys, you know, never recover from that experience. They don't even look at the opportunity they got to be on the team as being something worthy of being mentioned. But any guy who got a chance to play, I don't care if it's at junior college or at the University of Texas, they all relish the fact that they got a chance to get on the field and participate, make plays, get their name in the paper. You understand what I'm saying, Steve? Like, I think playing is a big deal at the end of the day for an athlete. I think for pro athletes, money has always been the goal. So whether you were playing or not, you could be appeased with money and be considered successful because you were getting paid. I don't think that's the case at the collegiate level. I think guys still want to play because at the end of the day, you don't have 15, 20 years to play college football. You only have 4 years or 5 years, and you want to play when you can.
So this is the thing, you know, and I hear people saying, you know, sit, get the money. I'm having a brain lock, but I'm going to use one person, Marquise Bell. Him actually playing on the field at FAMU allowed him to now play in the NFL. So what if Marquise Bell has said, you know what? I'm going to go back to Maryland, not play, but I'm going to get $150,000. But now he's got a $12 million contract because he actually played. And listen, and I'm going to say this. Whatever the kid's decision is, I'm with it. Because first of all, you're not my child. And I'm not you. So again, you might have some kids say, hey, I need that money for whatever the reason. And I respect that. But what I'm thinking, what is very interesting is this is going to start happening. And now what we're having now, because what are we hearing now? HBCU is going to be number JUCOs, right? Because they're picking our best players off. But the thing about it is, this is the thing about what happens when you got a lot of kids. Like I said, Blue actually had the stats. What I'm saying, Blue must be on another show. But he had the stats where it was like these guys that went and they didn't even play. General Hunt went to Illinois, didn't play.
But well, I thought about doing a slide on his stats, but I didn't know the context of
Here come Blue.
What they meant. I didn't understand the context of what it meant, and I didn't want to damage the kid's reputation.
Yeah, no. He's a grad student.
Basically, General Hunt had 10 sacks, 32 solo tackles, all-conference player at FAMU, and he went to Illinois and had 1 tackle, 1 assist, and played in 5 games.
So that's the thing. Now, again, Zoe could come and maybe give perspective on this. Blue could give it. But if General Hunt, who was a dominant player in the SWAC, comes back and all those guys come back on that defense, right, and dominate, you don't think they get a look because of the numbers that they're putting up? That's the thing that, again, this is going to be such a hard thing for kids that are going. And like I said, what I'm saying, I'm not saying that you do it either way. What we're doing is having a dialogue. And that's why I'm very curious to hear what people.
And I want to ask Blue, and I'll ask you the question as well. Can a player truly develop without playing?
I've never seen it. I've never seen it because that's the whole thing, and that's the reason why, again, why the portal was great, is because, and listen, let's be clear. We have had guys to drop down and actually play. Again, Marquise Bell is a perfect example. Bolden, the third corner for Jackson State. You see what I'm saying? He left Florida State. He played that nickel corner with two other guys that were NFL quality corners and got drafted by the Patriots because he played. Because he played in that defense that was highlighted with Dion. That's a big deal, man. That's a big deal. So
yeah, that's my man Blue right there. Thank you, Blue, for jumping on, man, on such short notice. I appreciate it. But I think you're uniquely qualified to really have this conversation. Not only do you have the stats and all that kind of stuff, I think you also have the knowledge of what playing does for a player versus city. You know what I mean? And I'll ask you the same question I asked Mr. Campbell. Can a player develop without playing?
No, I mean, especially not as a senior right now. Maybe that freshman can, because Rocky, Mr. Campbell, we've all had to make the jump, right? Every level you jump, you got to adjust to the speed of the game. It's more complex, right? You don't understand the playbook the same in high school as you would at the college level, right? You have to learn so many new concepts. You have to learn that playbook for that particular scheme. You got to get used to the coaching, right? Because you guys know the coaching at high school and college is completely different too. And not only that, you got to deal with off the field stuff too. So I think the adjustment period for freshman, sophomore, yes, you can grow as a player sitting on the bench, but guys, once you get to that senior year and you're 22, 23, we got guys 24, 25 now in college football. What are they learning sitting on the bench? Let's just say, because I don't think James Ash is going to be a starter at Auburn, but he'll play some, right? He'll be a rotational piece, a depth piece. So let's just say he plays 200 snaps next year. Did he get better in those 200 snaps in the SEC than he would playing 700 snaps at FAMU and being a 3-time all-conference selection? Because he's already a 2-time all-conference selection. I have a hard time saying he grows more in those 200 snaps in the SEC than he would being a full-time leader of the defense as he would be at FAMU if he came back for another year. So I don't think you can grow on the bench once you get to junior, senior year.
Now, Blue, you had an interesting stat on your show. And shout out to the Blue Bloods and Coach. Come on, I watch all the time. Do you say that stat with the guys that left and they didn't play? Can you tell people, roll that? Now, Rocky, this is going to blow your mind what Blue's about to tell you guys.
So 387 FCS to FBS transfers in 2024. An average college player plays 600 to 700 snaps. Rocky, only 19% of those FCS to FBS transfers played over 600 snaps.
Wow.
And then this gets crazier. Only 32% played 500 or more. Only 36 played at least 400. And 55% of those FCS to FBS transferred played at least 300 snaps. Now, of all those transfers, right, the 387, 33% were all conference players at the FCS level. 48% of those all conference players play less than 300 snaps at their new school at the FBS level.
Let me ask you this, Blue, because that's interesting. Because the one thing popped into my mind: if you're a player with a year left, then you're really taking a gamble. Is what I'm saying. Yeah. But if you're a player with 2 or 3 years left, does the calculation change?
Yes. The success rate for a player moving up with 2 to 3 years of eligibility, the success rate probably doubles or triples for most players. Because let's just look at the FCS guys. So I want to exclude the Ivy League guys from this conversation, right? Because that's the Ivy League model. Because, guys, if y'all are at Harvard, I'm at Harvard, we're not leaving Harvard right. Giving up that degree for any amount of money.
Because you try to own a team, not play for
a team. There's a quarterback that did recently. He went somewhere. I can't think of where he went.
Well, the quarterback, so Ivy League, you can't redshirt, Rocky. So, and they can't play football as a graduate. So what they'll do is they'll bring these Ivy League guys. They'll graduate from Harvard. They'll have 1 year of eligibility left, and they'll go play grad ball.
Okay, gotcha.
It was the quarterback from Yale, but he played his whole career at Yale. So let's take them out, right? Because they have to transfer with a year left because they just can't play. So if they're not NFL guys, they're going to go make some money, right? and they got their Ivy League degree. But outside of the FCS, Bashil Tootin from North Carolina A&T, running back, transferred up with 2 years of eligibility. He's going to get drafted this year, right? Because first year at Virginia Tech, you guys saw some growing pains, right? Rotational guy. This year, stepped into a starting role, was one of the best running backs in the country. Cam Scatabo, Arizona State, transferred up with 2 years of eligibility. Took a year to develop, became a star this year. Shador Sanders, first year had a good year. This year took a big step forward. Cam Ward, transferred up with 4 years of eligibility. COVID year, every year he's gotten better, right? Jared Verse, UAlbany to Florida State, 2 years at Florida, or 2 years at UAlbany, 3 years at Florida State, was a first round NFL draft pick. All the FCS guys you see transfer up, a lot of them transferred up with 2-3 years of eligibility, because you guys know this, in the recruiting process, teams lie. And I know, and I'm not going to name their names because I respect their family and I appreciate them sharing their stories. But guys, there are guys who transfer up with 1 year of eligibility with promises of, man, you're going to be a contributor. Look how good you are. Rocky, once you sign that NLI and that portal closes, what do we owe you? Because, and I think it's unfair, but I want to put in perspective, right? Who do y'all have more loyalty to? Rocky, Mr. Campbell, are y'all going to have more loyalty to a guy you've known for a year, or y'all going to have more loyalty to the 5th year guy who y'all recruited out of high school and you've known him and his family for 5 years? If it comes down to him versus the 1 year guy you just got out of the portal, who are y'all going to lean toward?
The guy you know.
100%.
That's what happens. They get trapped behind the guy who's been on the roster because they don't have as much loyalty to you as the guy that stuck around on their roster. You're a hired gun and you're not ingrained into the culture of the program. And that's what happens a lot of the times with these 1 year guys.
Hey, Rocky, this is what I'm going to tell you something. And shout out to my nephew, Ken Clark. This is why I got to give Jack State credit. Because, see, a lot of times the Blue understands this. Sometimes it's just having a little bit of money. So you got those guys got that collective rolling. They got guys that were probably like, hey, I'm thinking about leaving. Ken them got a collective down there that they got choice guys that say, hey, you know what? We'll take care of you. So, again, they're going to develop. They're going to play at Jackson State because Fortillion, to me, is one guy that I thought he was going to be gone just because he just has the size, right? I know he's on the NIL because they market him on the NIL, so this ain't no secret. I'm telling some secret. But that's the thing to me for Fortillion is like, let me stay at Jackson State, catch 45, 50, 60 balls, right? High point, then going to be the 5th receiver, like some guys that transferred and never played at some SEC school. Blue, you know what I'm talking about? Don't want to say not trying to hurt the kids. But my thing is, that's the thing. So to me, while there's a lot of money, I think kids want to challenge themselves and compete. And I think, again, and hey, man, shout out to Kelvin Dean, because he was part of this conversation that we had. I think you might have saw that Kelvin Dean was talking about, because we talked about moving up and things like that. And it's like these kids are like, hey, man, we just need something. Because we love the schools. But again, we look at the business part of it. So I think, again, all the HBCUs are really going to have to really do what Jack State is doing. They're going to have to come up with a collective. Again, it ain't no $1 million collective, but it's something where kids, because this is where I think we win. Because while you might not get $150,000 from us, we'll give you $150,000 in Lebanon. And it goes a long way, and you will play. And playing, to me, means something. I'm a competitor. And you go to Auburn, and man, listen, like I say, Marcus McNeil is my cousin, Blue, like I told you. Top player at Auburn, you know what I'm saying, playing on one of the greatest Auburn teams. I know what that atmosphere that Auburn is at. If you're playing, but if I'm sitting on the bench and I'm never playing, man, I'm going to FAMU, Jack State, A&T, Alcorn, so I can ball out. Look at James Houston. I think he's a perfect example of that. Now, somebody said that some of these guys have Power 4 tape, but they did not have the tape to Blue's point where they played more snaps coming to FAMU, Jackson State, A&T, wherever they went and played.
So there's one guy that I'll name nameless, because, like I say, because it doesn't matter. Hold on, sorry about that, Blue. My question is, if you're a guy, and I'll just say his name, Jonah Hunt, who ended up being redshirted last year, right? That's the reality. Would he consider coming back to FAMU at this point? Or does he, or does he stay at Illinois another year? You know, those are the kind of questions that I ask a guy. You go up there, and I don't know his injury status. I don't know who he had in front of him, any of that stuff. So I really don't have any real context to why he didn't play as much. But just looking at it on the surface, he was a very important piece of a national championship team, and he goes to a team where he makes 1 tackle, 1 assist. You know, that's a big drop off. To me, he would have to be unhappy in that situation or circumstance. I would assume.
I'll say this, okay, and this isn't because I do think we have to have an honest conversation here about it. There are some guys that I don't blame just going to chase the bag, and let me explain. I think Gentle Hunt falls into this, and I'm going to explain why. And I know this is going to sound really messed up, but I really do believe this. Gentle Hunt was never going to the NFL.
See, now
look at his body, Rocky.
I get it.
He's listed at 5'11". Rocky, I've seen him. I don't know. 5'11-ish, we'll call it. And he's probably 290 to 300, maybe 310 if he can put on some weight.
He doesn't have the right attributes.
He's not going to play defensive tackle at the National Football League. So guess what? If you can leverage FAMU into a $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 NIL deal at Illinois, bro, go do it. And I'll say this, and I won't name the player's name because I was told this in confidence. There was a really talented HBCU defensive end, guys. 1 year of eligibility. His coaches shopped him around to SEC programs because they knew he didn't have the size to play professionally. His family was in a tough spot. He was an FCS All-American. They shopped him in the portal and said, would y'all give this kid an NIL deal? He transferred up, got about $400,000-500K, and set the bench.
See, you know, Blue, you know what's funny that you said, and I'm so glad. See, this is what I'm talking about, broad perspective. I have no problem with that because that was another thing, too. If I'm a guy, right? Because, see, now you got to be honest. Everybody, hey, it's not going to be an NFL player.
It changes the context of college football, though.
Huh? But hold on.
That mindset changes the context of college football.
Yeah, but if I'm a guy, but I'm talking about what Blue is saying, and I'm making a business decision, not my heart. And I'm like, well, you know, I'm not going to get drafted anyway. And I've already graduated, especially guys like that. Because we're not talking about the 2 year guys like the A&T running back, like you said. I'm talking because a lot of this, I'm really talking about these 1 year guys, right? And I can go get $200,000-300,000, another degree. I probably would do that myself. If my child came to me and said, hey, Dad, listen, look, I'm 5'7.5", right? And my kid is a slot receiver. And hey, man, me and his mom, we happy that he go to family. He said, Dad, listen, I go up there to Auburn and go get 150. He already got his degree. I know he's not going to get that. Man, go get that 150, bro, and get another degree. So that's the thing about it. I just think that this is so interesting. And what I guess, again, Blue, what do you think going forward? Is this going to be the thing, to your point, where these kids that are all conference type kids sophomore year?
My name is Campbell Jr., and I won $500 on the lunch money for keeping up with the Jonas Bracket Challenge.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.